Right, so I'm currently working on a computer project. I apologize about the audio not being the best, but I wasn't going to record it in the first place, and I figure this is better than nothing. So, let me talk about what I've been doing here. So, I blew out dust because I was very long overdue. Speaking of that, I gotta shut off the air compressor. I don't believe I did. Yeah, it's still on. Valve is on. I'm gonna leave that on until I'm done. But yeah, so I blew out the dust. I moved my case fan from this slot to the one right there. There's two slots. I moved it to here because the hard drives were never getting cooling in the first place. And with cool air being on the bottom and warm air being on the top, that's probably the best kind of cooling design. What sucks is this vent here is actually probably making things worse because air can go through here and that kind of ruins the airflow a little bit. It's a little bit like having a leak in a hose. And possibly even this too, I'm not sure. The best design would be where it could all go out through here probably. It just kind of forces air, then cooling's a little better. So I moved the fan down here. Then I also switched out my processor from an i5 to an i7. So um, I tried it out, and unfortunately, the cooling is not good. It shot up to like 95 Celsius within a few seconds of doing a handbrake task. And I think it's just because of how I apply the thermal compound. So I'm going to have to redo it because I didn't do a very good job with it. So I'm going to kind of explain some of the other things that happened throughout this that you otherwise would have missed out on. You'll still get coverage with that. So I'm going to take off the heatsink. The way you do it is a little bit funky. So I probably shouldn't do it while I'm holding this phone, electrostatic wise. But I always like to touch the case because I think it'll allow me to have the same electric potential as the computer. And I know it's not connected to earth ground or anything, but as long as my grounding is the same as it, that's all that matters. We just want to have the same electric potential. So the way you take this off is not the way I would have thought. You actually have to turn all of these to the left. I'm touching the case while doing this, just so you know. Turn that, and that. I always unplug this just so I can set it down nicely. And then it comes off just like a non-threaded screw coming out of a hole. So there's a little bit of thermal compound. There's actually not a lot. I think that's where a lot of the issue is. So this is an i7 now. It even spread onto probably not the best area. So I'm gonna clean this up with rubbing alcohol, then I'll be back. Right, so I think I got it cleaned off now with relatively good. There's a little bit left. The surfaces of like heatsink right there, pretty good. They used some rubbing alcohol for that. So I'm gonna reapply thermal compound, and it's gonna be a lot more. What I've been doing is I've put a glob on and then use a latex glove, which I don't recommend. You'd be better off with nitrile gloves. That's what I wish I would have went with. Latex gloves are basically the same material as balloons, and you can see how that wouldn't go too well. Whereas nitrile gloves would have a much cleaner surface, so go with that. Or I also tried a plastic knife with a clean surface, which basically just scratched up everything and didn't help. These gloves work a lot better though than that, so I'm kind of stuck with these gloves for now since I did it. But I'm going to try to get full coverage. So I'm going to put a glob on and try to spread it evenly, which is very hard with latex gloves. But I'm going to do that, then I'll be back. I'm using Arctic's MX4 thermal compound, by the way, which is exactly the same as what I would have gone with for my dream PC like 5 or 6 years ago, just so you know. So Arctis MX4 is what I'm using. It doesn't come with a spreader or anything, so that's why I'm using this glove. But yeah, just to let you know that that's what I'm using for thermal compound. I may have gone a little bit overboard there, but with these gloves, I think that'll actually be necessary. I could probably just leave it, but that's not good distribution on the very edge like that. It would be better off towards the center. But I'm gonna spread it with these gloves. We'll see how it turns out. Double jointed thumbs make it difficult to press pause in this position. That's much better coverage than I had before. I'm not finished spreading it yet. Sorry about that car background, but I'm outside in case you're able to tell. But I'm gonna try to get the distribution a little bit better. But that's so much better than it was before. So yeah, got a little bit on the edges. May use a little rubbing alcohol to get that off. But yeah, let's see how this works. I'd say it turned out pretty nice actually. It's a relatively even distribution, I think. It doesn't look great. It feels kind of weird, but it'll probably do actually. So there's many different ways to apply thermal compound. I've mainly heard about spreading it evenly across the die, so that's what I'm going with. So I'm going to show you all the shenanigans with reinstalling the heatsink. Let me grab it. Okay, I guess I got it while still holding the phone. So this is going to be hard to show you. I might want to switch to selfie view. I can do that and then show you what's going on. Right, so now I don't have to worry about the phone falling down. That's what I'm using for my camera because it's magnetically attracted to the case. Probably not the greatest, but whatever. So the weird thing with the heatsink is, so something that was making it hard to get on the second time was, so I don't know if you can see, but basically when it goes in, there's a little black thing in between the white poles. Kind of hard to see it, but it's actually covering up the full surface. See, there's black throughout between the white. Well, that was actually preventing it from going in before. So what you want to do before you put it in is turn it all the way counterclockwise, pull it, then the black thing will go in like that. I want to make sure that that's going on for all of these. Counterclockwise, pull it, counterclockwise, pull it in. Then I also had a hard time getting it in because these were too far out to fit into the hole. So pinch it a little bit so that it can get in fairly easily. And then it'll snap into place much easier. Now turn it clockwise before you snap it in. So I'll try to do that with the camera. We'll see how that works. The direction you install it in does not matter a whole lot, but I'm going to do what's most cable friendly, which is this way for me, I believe. So I'm going to get it in so it fits in the holes kind of, or at least the holes kind of hold it in place. Touch the case a little bit. Turn all these clockwise. And then they should all snap into place, otherwise I had to pinch those white things some more where it doesn't. So we should be able to put it in like this. Nice. Opposite corners, ideally. That did not go in so nicely the first time because I didn't pinch those white things properly. And then plug it in because I forgot that the first time too. So you can see that the white holes are on one side more than the other. And on that yellow plug right here, this is the corresponding way to do it. It only goes in one way nicely, like that. So now the thermal compound should be a lot better than it was before. The cooling should be improved, hopefully. So I'm going to give that a shot, and I'll probably do another status update with that. I'm going to hit stop because I don't want to have my phone on the entire time. But I'm going to give it a test run and see if the thermals are good, and I guess I'll let you know if they improve from before. Close this so it doesn't tip over. Anyway, I'm going to go in and we'll see what happens. Looks like it's topping out at about 80 Celsius now, so clearly whatever we just did must have worked.
Yeah.
It's doing a handbrake task. And before it was getting about 100 Celsius. So yeah, works pretty good. I'm kind of tempted to take out the computer one more time and make sure that the heat sink's even running, because I never verified if all my fans are working yet. So I'm going to do that, and then we'll conclude this. So I guess I'll see you then. I forgot to record the conclusion, but the fan and everything else worked like you'd expect. So that's it. Have a good day.